Welcome to a very special edition of Living in the Secret Place. I want you to meet my lovely, awesome wife, Jessica Money. My name is Woody Money, and we today are married 12 years. We're celebrating our 12th anniversary today, and we wanted to do something special for the channel, for YouTube, for you guys out there. And we wanted to give you 12 things that we have learned over the 12 years. And so, what we did, I have 6 and she has 6 things. And I wrote them down on cards. She wrote them down on cards. And she doesn't know what I wrote down, and I don't know what she wrote down. And so what we're going to do is share those with each other and with you for the first time in 12 years. It's going to be pretty awesome. Yeah. I'm hoping that you have a fun time. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Like this video if you like what's happening in it. And we are excited to get started. Are you ready?
Yeah.
We're in our schoolroom. Our kids' schoolroom, our kids' homeschool, and we thought we would bring you in here and show off their wonderful artwork with you. But we are ready to go.
Let's get started.
All right. Okay, so number 6. Okay. Before I got married, I wish that I knew her love languages and her Myers-Briggs personality, because her love languages are quality time and acts of service. And it took me so long to just figure out how to properly kind of show her a little better that I love her, because I'm trying to buy her a whole bunch of gifts and trying to encourage her with my words, and she likes that stuff. But the primary way that you receive love is whenever I just hang out with you on the couch.
Sure.
And
or
do the dishes.
Wash the dishes.
Yeah. Or wash dishes. Yeah. So your Myers-Briggs was really important to me too, because my personality is weird enough on her personality, that her personality is actually the highest compatibility with my personality, which is interesting because we're so different. I'm an extrovert. She's an introvert. And then there's more levels to it than that. I encourage you guys to go get your spouse's love languages. It's an awesome test. You can go to 16personalities.com and find your spouse's Myers-Briggs. Please do it. You won't regret it. Anyway, there we go. Number 6.
Right. So am I doing my number 6?
Your number 6.
What if one of mine is in yours?
Doesn't matter.
But it's not number 6.
It doesn't matter. Go for it.
Okay. All right. So before I got married, I wish I knew to allow time and grace during the transition period.
Wow. So talk about that. What do you mean? What transition period?
So when you first get married, you have, stuff that you did with your family, certain things, like certain ways that you did stuff, and your spouse, grew up probably a little different holidays, different traditions, different quirky way of doing things, and then you're putting these two together, and you just gotta figure it out. And
yeah. So you don't like that I used to put trash in the sink. That's what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah. So I used to put all the stuff that was on my plate and my trash and everything, I just put it in the sink. And that's just where I came from. That's what we did. But that's not where Jessica came from or where she did. So I just refused to bend, I'm going to put trash on my plate and put it in the sink. But it just caused a whole bunch of stuff. But I can tell you, learning to love you and you learning to love me, we both give and take, and I'm glad that I learned to speak your language there too. Yeah. So, and it wasn't just trash in the sink, it was, more stuff than that, I'm sure. But. All right, number 5 is super important to me. I need a spiritual father. And I feel like we all need mentors. We need spiritual fathers and mothers. We need people that will come alongside of us and help us to grow and see pitfalls that maybe we wouldn't have seen otherwise. You know, to kind of work through some of the issues of marriage. I encourage you guys to get those people and love them to death and listen to them and hang on to their words, because it's super important. They can help you avoid some things that maybe things that could have been a little deal maybe turned into a big deal. Maybe they help you kind of see how put things in perspective from where they've walked through them before. So I just encourage you guys to find some mentorship, and that is my number 5.
Okay. My number 5 goes along with my number 6. Before I got married, I wish I knew how to apologize. So I think I still have trouble with that one sometimes. I'm not perfect at it, but I can definitely tell a difference since we've been married for a little while. Yeah. But yeah, so just say I'm sorry.
Yes, number 5 is good. So my number 4 is, before I got married, I wish I knew to set my boundaries. And these are, and I mean personal boundaries. I know that our vice president was in a kind of the news lately with one of his boundaries. I think he doesn't let himself get alone with a woman other than his wife, you know, or his mom or his sister or his daughter. And I know exactly where that boundary kind of comes from. Historically, that comes from Billy Graham, you know. And when I heard it, I was like, yes, that's so good. Because one thing that we said in our life early on, not exactly when we got married, but we got into one of these mentorship relationships, you know, and we learned some boundaries. We set our boundaries I learned that.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 or 3 years into it before we learned that. Yeah.
And I mean, I know Billy Graham had this thing where he wouldn't be alone with another woman. And that just like really set in my heart. And I know some people have a big problem with that, but it's Billy Graham was never in a scandal. He never was in the news for like some kind of thing that he had gotten into. And so that's what I want for my life. That's what I want for our family, you know, just to avoid, you know, all that stuff. And I'm not talking about, you know, if I'm at work and there's somebody in my cubicle, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about behind closed doors alone with another female. That is not something that happens. I also don't take long car rides alone with females. So it's just, or short car rides really for that matter, alone with females. It's just the way I am. It keeps me safe, you know, from because none of us are above temptation. And so instead of just having to resist temptation, I just don't let it come into my life. And I know some people will like that, some people won't. But that's my advice for number 4. Set some boundaries.
Okay. My number 4 also goes with number 6, compromise. So when there's that transition of family quirks from each side, you got to learn to work through them. There's some we compromise on, and we decide to, you know, or make our own new things like new traditions. Or I think you definitely compromised with me about not putting garbage and chicken with bones in the sink. I don't know. Yeah. It's mostly napkins, I think, is
that was
what it was. Yeah. But
just hate them napkins.
They don't go down the garbage disposal, so and we didn't have a garbage disposal, so I mean, there was like food or something on there.
Because you had to pick it out all wet, soggy, and nasty.
Yeah,
and put it in
I think that's what was the tipping point for me.
Yeah, I see the error always.
Yeah. I'm sure you can think of some for me too, but since that one was fresh on our mind. Compromise though, compromise is a good one.
Nice. So, guys, my number 3 before I got married, I wish I knew the power of agreement. And this is something that we had to come into agreement with. So everything that's hanging up in our house, literally every picture that you see, and this is something that I tell a lot of young couples and talk to them, but everything that you see hanging on our wall, we are in agreement that it should be there, right?
Yeah.
And so if I like it but she doesn't, or if she likes it but I don't, literally we will not hang it on our wall. And so I know that that's kind of a simple example, but so much of our life is like that. All of our life is like that. If we're not in agreement on it, we don't do it. And that comes from, all the way from like kid parties to gifts of any kind, or our donations, or our tithe, or which we do tithe, but I'm saying like we're in agreement in every single area of our life, Yeah. And I'm not saying we're always in agreement. We do get in arguments about stuff, that, and we do, we get in legit arguments, like real arguments about it. But at the end of the day, we're in agreement when we're done, in some way or another. So get in agreement. Please get in agreement. There's power in that. God wants us all just to work things out, work through things, and get in agreement. And that takes sometimes me humbling myself and going, okay, I really don't need that. And her sometimes also going, humbling herself, like, okay, I really don't need that. And so it's not something that I lord over her as her husband, or she lords over me as my wife, but it's that just we're give and take, and we come into agreement. If we're not in agreement on it, we just don't do it. So that is my number 3, the power of agreement.
Okay. So like you said earlier, we did not know what each other wrote. So my number 3 is don't be afraid to seek advice. So that was what, your number 4, 5?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a lot of our arguments could have been handled a lot quicker if I myself had just went to other married godly women like at church and just asked them for advice. But I think I was afraid to. I was afraid that it was going to come across like just a petty argument, and most of the time it was. And so I was just too embarrassed to actually ask for advice. But instead, it just, the argument carried on and, just got over the top for no reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't be afraid to seek advice.
Yeah, advice, even in the little things, I think is good.
Yeah.
So that's really good. I like that. So my number 2, before I got married, I wish I knew to keep my priorities straight. And this is a huge one. My priorities, and I don't think we mean to get them out of order. I think we have good intentions most of the time. I just think that they get out of order. And the thing that I really didn't realize first on in our marriage, I talk about it a lot in our book, The Secret Place, was about my struggle with overloading myself with ministry. A lot of ministry, just doing all kind of ministry, any kind of ministry that we could get our hands on, we did, or I did. And what happened, even when I wasn't in those groups, we were in the street, praying and preaching and whatever until midnight, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And at some points I wouldn't even let her know where I was. And so, and I know out there in YouTube land, you're wondering like, what the heck is wrong with this guy? But I honestly just I couldn't see the problem with it. And so since I have sat down and I've put these priorities together, number 1 is my relationship with God. And that is first and foremost. And I'm not talking about ministry at all whatsoever. I'm talking about my own time with the Lord, my own, spending time with God on a regular basis, worship, prayer, reading my Bible. And number 2 is my family. And so it goes straight from just my own private seeking of God to my family and spending time with family. That includes a date night, and that includes dates with my kids all the time. That includes dates with my wife. That includes one night a week where I will turn off my phone at 8 p.m. and no matter what we're doing, we'll watch TV. If we're on a date, we'll do that. But if we're not out on a date because we've got 3 kids, we'll make the most of it and we'll have a date in our living room and we'll watch TV together. And my wife was pointing to my wedding ring. For years after I made this choice and this transition, I have since put my ring on my middle finger, and that to me is a reminder of priority. It's a repentance. In my own head, I remember it every day. It's my life is God, family, and then ministry, forever. And so ministry comes in third place. That is everything that I do for the Lord. So number 1 is what I do with the Lord to know Him. Number 2 is what I do with my family to know them. And number 3 is what I do for everybody else in humanity for them to know God. Okay? And so it's super important. I just wish that I would have known before I got married that ministry and time with God were 2 different things, because I kind of put those together and they just sort of blurred, and I couldn't see the truth. So anyway, although spending time with God does lead to ministry, and it also does lead to family, because your family is your first ministry. They're your first, the people you love first, right? You give them your best, and then you give others what's left over. So anyway, that is my number 2. Keep your priorities in order: God, family, and then ministry. There you go.
Okay. That was your number 2?
Yes.
Okay. My number 2 is date night.
Yes. Yes.
So,
there you
what
go.
you just said, we make sure you have a date night. We at least do it once a week. Isn't that right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't.
Yeah.
I know we watch TV, every night together.
It's honestly it's actually like 2 or 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
But
I think when we first started doing this, it was at least once a week you turned your phone off, because we were still really busy in ministry, and so we wasn't home most of the nights.
Right.
So we made sure we had at least one night with the phone off.
We had to.
Yeah.
We had to turn.
By then we had kids.
Yeah.
So we couldn't just go out on a date every time.
Yeah.
Because of babysitter and stuff like that. But
because we couldn't afford a babysitter.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I think the date night, for me, a date night for me is when I turn my phone off. No matter where I'm at, I turn my phone off, and it becomes a date night. And no matter what other things are involved, if I turn my phone off and it's 8 o'clock, no matter where, what we're doing, that is me shutting off the world. I don't make her turn her phone off. I don't make you turn your phone off. Most of the time. I'll be like, okay, my phone's going off.
Yeah, well, I think at first, you were like, okay, we are turning our phones off.
But I don't want to, I just know that for me, I need to turn it off so I can be present for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that constitutes her, your quality time. Mm-hmm. And so you need that. So I know that I need to turn my phone off. So my attention is totally towards her during that time. So or the TV, you know what I mean. But we're hugging, or near each other.
Yeah.
So watching TV to you is still quality time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it may not be for some of your spouses. So you need to find out if turning the TV on is actually that. So go ahead.
Date night, number 2.
Okay.
Right. Number 1.
All right. So the number 1 thing that I thought was most important to bring up right now, at this point in our show, we can call it a show. Number one thing is, before I got married, I wish I knew to forgive quickly.
Yeah.
Bomb. Dropped right there. So I wish that I would have resolved to forgive quickly and started practicing it, because it's not an easy thing, to forgive quickly. It's something that's learned over time, really. And I noticed that when we were, as longer we've been married, the shorter our disagreements are. The shorter our arguments are. You know, so in the beginning it was like a week, you know, and it would go on, you know, forever. You know, it'd just be arguing forever. I'd wake up, you know, just mad. Wake up the next day mad. I'm hearing my preacher like, you need to not go to bed angry. I'm like, you don't know, brother. You know, and I'm just going to bed mad, you know, every day mad. And then now, you know, we'll have a disagreement, and the most that we'll be upset at each other maybe a couple of hours or maybe an hour. You know, that's a stretch, really.
Yeah.
Like, it's usually just a few minutes and we're back over it, you know, or maybe even at times it's even a seconds. I mean, we'll be riding in the car having, you know, disagreement, and it'll be done. And I'm noticing that the longer we're in agreement on, you know, other things, I'm able to just forgive quickly. You know, I'm able just to, you know, it's not worth it. You know, or there may be something that we'll be talking, and then I'll have an opportunity to bring up something, but I won't, because I just would rather not be in, I'd rather stay in agreement, you know, and be, anyway, forgive quickly, and it takes time, it takes practice. Start now, try it now, and it'll get your arguments get shorter and shorter. As you love each other and you keep God at that center, and you keep your priorities in order. Number one, you know, time with God. Number two, my family. Number three, anything else, including ministry, and then, you know, anything else. So,
all right. So my number one, really important.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he's been mentioning it like the whole time, is to speak his or her love language.
Oh. Yeah.
So that's my number one.
Yeah.
And I think having those, you know, love languages, those love tanks full, you know,
What are
helps.
mine?
Huh?
What are mine?
Physical touch and words of affirmation.
Yes.
Yeah. Having those, you know, filled and maintained help.
Yeah.
They seem to help
very physical.
They help the other stuff.
Very physical touch. Very. See, she's touching. And very affirmative.
I love you so much. You're beautiful.
I love you so much. You're beautiful.
So that's it. That's my 6.
Yep, and that's my 6. And so we've been married for 12 years now. So we wanted to give you guys 12 things that we've learned. I hope this has blessed you. If you like this content, please subscribe. We're going to try to put out a video every single Tuesday right now. And we've got this Tuesday, we've got coming up our Wilderness Part 2 is coming up. It's going to be amazing. We're going to talk about purpose. I hope it's blessed you in some way. Please like it and subscribe right here. Like and subscribe. And we love you guys. Please leave a comment. If you've got a number 13 that you've learned about marriage, please leave it in the comments. If you totally disliked any of my 12 or her 12, please leave that in the our 6s. Please leave that in the comments. Tell us why. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to find out what your perspective on marriage is as well. We love you guys. Stay in the secret place. And if you haven't done it yet, please go grab a copy of our book. We wrote about all these stories that we just mentioned and shared right here in our book, The Secret Place. It took 7 years to write. We believe it'll change your life. And we love you very much. God bless
You can't threaten your spouse. That's
you. We gotta.
That's my number 13. Are we coming from the side? And we gotta look up. No, that's wrong.